Guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukenessmonster, and this is Ask Lukenessmonster, episode 95, the series on the channel where I answer your guys' questions from the comments down below. So if you guys do want your questions answered in next week's video, make sure to comment down below in this week's video, and I'll try my very best to answer it. The first question from Commander Cook. Commander Cook is actually a channel member, and channel members get priority reply to comments on Ask Lukenessmonster. So if you do want to make sure your question gets answered, consider going down and hitting that join button down below. Channel members also get exclusive emojis that you can only get from the Lukenessmonster channel, as well as cool Clone Trooper name badges that get cooler the longer you're a member. Anyway, jumping right into Commander Cook's question, he asks, if you could own one Star Wars ship, whose/what would it be? So if you're talking about IRL, I would 100% have to go with the X-Wing. The X-Wing is classic, it's iconic, and it would just be super cool to own and fly IRL. But if you're talking about like Black Series, I would love to get a Black Series TIE Advance, like a Vader's TIE Fighter. I think that would be super cool as like a Haslab or a purchasable vehicle in the line. That'd be great. It's a little big, so I don't think it would ever happen, but I would love to see it. We do have another channel member comment here from SideQuester. He says, I'm super excited at the prospect of your Lukeness ASMR channel. Any updates on that? So, for starters, if ASMR videos do happen, it won't be its own channel. It'll be on the main channel here. And basically, if you didn't know, in one of my live streams, I did like an ASMR unboxing, and it was like super satisfying, and I'd love to do more because it sounds like a lot of people in the chat really liked it. But the problem is, the ASMR videos are really good for the plastic-free packaging because there's a little like baggies and stuff you can open up, and there's the like tissue paper in it. But as far as plastic-free figures go, I've pretty much run out of plastic-free figures to buy. I'm up to date on the latest wave, and so I don't have many plastic-free figures left to get. And so, you know, if I do it, it'll probably end up being on like the plastic bubble, and there's just less of an unboxing experience there to make good content for. So we'll see. If you guys want to see an ASMR channel, let me know down in the comments. I might post a community vote as well, but yeah, let me know. The next question from my good friend Oliver, he asks, Mr. Ness Monster, what is your favorite figure that you have? This one is really close because I have a lot of favorite figures, but this one has got to be a tie between the Black Series 5s and the White Box Mando. The White Box Mando is a holy grail figure for me. The number 94 box one was one of my first Black Series figures ever. It's the first review on the channel, and it's what really got me into the Black Series, so that one has got to be really high up on the list for me. And then 5s. 5s is a figure we have campaigned for here on the channel ever since the birth of the channel back in early 2020, and to finally have it in the line, it means so much. And so that one's obviously on the list as well. The problem is the figure sucks. It's not great. The logo's bad. Some of the colors are wrong. It's just not a great figure when it comes to accuracy, but regardless, it's still one of my favorites. The next question says, do you have Captain Cardinal? I love the red First Order look. Great question. I actually don't own Captain Cardinal. I ended up passing on the figure. Ever since The Rise of Skywalker came out, I wasn't a big fan of the sequels, and I'll get into this in a little bit because there's a question relating to this. But yeah, I just ended up passing on it. I'm not a huge fan of the First Order figures anymore. The next question from my good friend Phase 2 Action Review, he asks, if you were to create a new line from Hasbro, what would it be? Like a new line for a franchise? Great question. I would have to go with a Stranger Things line. You know, McFarlane had Stranger Things for a little bit, and they only did some of the Season 1 figures, and those figures are really expensive now. We got some other figures from other companies. I know, I believe it was Bandai that did the Season 4 characters, but it hasn't really stuck around with one brand, and I'd love to see a brand actually get it and stick with it. And I think Hasbro would be great. I think Hasbro has great face printing, great quality, and great articulation, and I would love to see them go back and do every single character from Season 1 to Season 4 and all their different outfits. There's so many you could do, and I'd love to see what Hasbro could do with it. The next question says, if you could get any older Black Series figures remade, which one would you choose? I personally would pick Commander Fox or even Bly. I think Commander Fox definitely needs a remake. Bly is great how it is. I don't think he needs a remake at all. He's on that Rex body, so he is perfect. But as far as what I would choose, I would have to go with Archive Anakin. That figure is it's okay. It looks good, but it really does suck. It needs a brand new mold. Their articulation is really crappy. Some of the proportions are out of whack, and it really just needs a remake. The figure originally came out, I want to say, in 2013, maybe 2014, and we got obviously the updated archive version with the photo reel, which was nice, but this figure, Revenge of the Sith Anakin, needs a remake, especially after his appearance in like Kenobi and in Ahsoka. We desperately need a brand new Revenge of the Sith Anakin. The last question for today asks, you mentioned you used to like the sequel trilogy more than you do now. What changed? I wonder if the sequel trilogy is on a similar trajectory with the prequel trilogy, despite at first, but reappraised once the generation of fans grow up. Great question. I think it's on that track, and I think it'll get there eventually. I mean, I was 10 whenever The Force Awakens came out, so I have a lot of nostalgia for the sequel trilogy. I still think they're pretty crappy movies looking back, but the nostalgia at the time is unmatched. But the reason I don't like it as much anymore is strictly due to Rise of Skywalker. I think Force Awakens, still to now, is a great watch. It's a great movie, and it holds up on its own. I think The Last Jedi made some choices I didn't really like. I didn't like how they did Luke. I think they did Luke really dirty, but for the most part, it's visually stunning, and I think it's a decent story. But everybody hated on The Last Jedi so much that The Rise of Skywalker pretty much undid all the good stuff that The Last Jedi did. Everything they did, they undid, and they just threw the whole, like, cheap Palpatine Returns storyline in there, and it's really dumb. It just completely undermines the entire purpose of the sequel trilogy, and it doesn't give us a good conclusion. And so, because we don't ever get a good conclusion to that, I feel like all of the story that have been built up in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi just goes nowhere, and so it really makes me hate those movies. I still love them. I think they're a good watch, but it just, as a story as a whole, it's just not there. It's an incomplete story in my eyes. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Ask Lukenessmonster. Make sure to go down, hit the like button, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below if you wanted your questions answered in next week's video. Again, channel members get priority reply to all comments on Ask Lukenessmonster, so hitting that join button does help out a lot. And yeah, that's going to do it, so I'll see y'all in the next video.